This programme is the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Welcome along to the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli from Brands Hatch, the Porsche Festival this weekend on the Indy circuit. All things to do with the great marque being celebrated this weekend, with plenty for enthusiasts and casual fans to enjoy. The championship standings as we move from Silverstone to here, headed in Class 1 by Simon Clark. Pete Morris in the 997. Is second from another 997, Mark McAleer. Jake McAleer fourth from James Cayley and Chris Dyer. In Class 2, it's Matt Kyle Henney who heads the standings from Paul Simpson, Andy Muggeridge and Carl Hazelton. Meanwhile, in the classic Boxsters, it's Will Heslop with a 5-point lead over Richard Forber. Alistair Nelson in third.
Going to have a quick chat at Alton Park there. Now you're in the Class 2s there. We now see you moving to Class 1. New car, whole new thing for you.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I sold the Class 2. So unfortunately I'm not finishing off in Class 2, so I've moved to Class 1, and first time out in the car, loving it. We're setting it up a little bit different at the minute, but we're on the pace.
For anyone new viewers, what's the difference?
It's just a bit more power delivery, to be honest. It's a rear engine instead of a mid-engine, but it just grips better, it sits better, grips better, yeah. It's a freshly built engine. Chris Dyer built the engine, done a good job in fairness to him, not that I can tell him that, but yeah, it's very good, very quick, and I'm dead pleased with it at the minute.
Third in the championship in class, so it's going pretty well.
Yeah, we're having a pretty good season, to be fair. We've managed to finish on the podium for every race so far, so fingers crossed we can continue that.
Festival of Porsche is an epic event. Obviously last year we didn't enjoy the crowds, now they're back, that gives you a bit of a boost.
Oh, absolutely. It's brilliant to see people out in the grandstand, to see what Porsche have brought as well, all the race cars that they've brought along for the day. They've just made a massive event, and all the Porsche owners that are out in the paddock as well, all the cars lined up, it just eggs you on a little. So.
Qualifying done, how did it feel?
It felt all right. At least we got a bit of practice in this morning, so we did a bit of adjustment set up, and the car's feeling really good, so just looking forward to the race now.
Chris, I don't want to jinx anything, but we're doing pretty well so far. I've just seen the qualifying sheets, qualified P1 there.
Well, I managed to get my head down and get a few good laps in, and it just shows. For the second race, I'm sixth, so that's how the traffic works.
Kev, we had a quick catch up at Silverstone where we had a good fourth place there. Not many weeks later, Brands Hatch Indy. Now I know you perform well here, but how's qualifying gone?
Yeah, it was a bit tough. We knew it would be because lots of slower cars out there, so it was a luck of the draw really. And then there was a lot of oil down at Druids, so I couldn't take my normal line, but it was still very close, top 5 within I think 3 tenths or so. So yeah, interesting race coming up.
They're known for your good starts, okay? Obviously that's the plan on this first thing there, but it's going to be pretty busy on that first corner.
Yeah, it will be, and unfortunately everyone knows I'm quite quick off the line, so they tend to box me in. But yeah, it will be busy, and I think it's going to be, as I say, a lottery in the race because so many back markers. So I think it's just a case of biding your time and finding a gap. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to it. It should be good fun.
Richard, been a while since we caught up. The number 3 machine there, looking very immaculate in front of a pretty packed crowd here at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, it's going to be a busy day. It's busy out on circuit, that's for sure. Full grid. Hopefully we'll be able to make some places up once we get out there. We didn't do too well in qualifying. It was a little bit busy out there, but I don't think I got the best out of it either. So there's quite a bit to come yet.
Pretty good season overall. Richard Basin is sort of keeping his eye on you, and you two having some great battles throughout the season.
Yeah, both of us. Yeah, we seem to be not far away from each other at every opportunity. There's somebody trying to have a go to get past. So, yeah, same again today. Hopefully, I got the better of him at Silverstone, but no doubt he'll have other plans for today. But yeah, we'll hopefully work our way up the grid. Maybe both of us together would be good.
Faye, first race ever. Great to see a new driver on the grid there, and I believe free practice went well, even got a better time than your husband.
Yes, free practice was really good. Yeah, really enjoying it, and yeah, very exciting.
And how are you finding the car?
Car's amazing. Yeah, the team are brilliant. They've done a really good job with it. Handles really well, and hopefully it'll look after me in the race.
What have you done before?
Nothing motorsports-wise, just a few track days. Do a bit of show jumping, so sort of get a feel for it. But yeah, it's all good.
Bit of a baptism of fire on Brands Hatch Indy Circuit in front of thousands of people.
Yeah, I thought it'd be a nice, quiet, relaxed day, but yeah, it's full on, so it's been really good.
Well, I know you've been cool. We'll let you get going. We'll catch up with you later.
Fab, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chris Dyer on pole position from Simon Clark. Mark McAleer lines up on row 2 with Peter Morris. Kevin Harrison is 5th on the grid ahead of James Cayley. Class 2 headed by Toby Barlow. Then Matt Kyle Henney. 3rd in Class 2 Angus Archer, and 4th is Bill Cayley. Richard Forber heading Class 3 for the Classic Boxsters ahead of Will Heslop, the championship leader. Alistair Nelson 3rd from Peter Evans. We've got 34 cars on the grid and ready to entertain a large crowd here at Brands Hatch. Away we go. Anticipating the start well was Chris Dyer, but a little bit sluggish. Other than that, up into second place initially goes Mark McAleer, but Chris Dyer gives him was there a little bit of a rub there? He goes through into second position, in car with Peter Morris. Kevin Harrison in front of us, Morris down in 5th at the moment, but it's the reigning champion who, from the outside of the front row, which is often considered a good place to start, is the championship leader, the defending champion, Simon Clark in the Cayman. His worst result of the year, 4th place at Donington Park in round 1. Didn't set the scene very well, did he? Mind you, 4th position's a pretty good finish if that's going to be one of your drop scores. Stephen Shaw getting tipped around there, a little bit of contact. I think he managed to survive that. We'll wait and see if he comes into shot. Before that, though, we see Steve Morrison up ahead of Jesse Chamberlain. Jesse back at the scene of his debut. He joined us here in the second event of the year, rounds 3 and 4 on the GP circuit, but had engine problems on that occasion. Hopefully things are a little bit sweeter for him today. Massive crowd. Simon Clark the leader, Chris Dyer in second. Can't remember when Chris had a pole position before. Academic now because that's gone, and he is in second place. Richard Bayston having problems, and looks like he's going to be an early retirement in this race. Andy Muggeridge having issues as well, we understand. There is Alistair Nelson, always on the podium, Alistair Nelson so far this year. Porsche Centre Wilmslow, and running well, chasing Richard Forber and Will Heslop for that championship lead in the Classic Boxsters. The race leaders, though, coming along the straight to tick off another lap on this very tight circuit. It's a great venue, Brands Hatch, one of my favourites. It's my local track. You can see most of the action most of the time in this natural amphitheatre. Great for casual spectators who are maybe watching racing for the first time. Lots of people just coming because it's the Porsche Festival. Good run there by Paul Simpson. That's for 3rd position in Class 2. Bill Cayley the leader in class at the moment. And Bill had a good run on the first lap as we watched Jake McAleer in the blue Cayman chasing Pete Morris in 5th. You'd be disappointed with the 6th place, but if you came into this championship and looked at the names ahead of you, the likes of Chris Dyer, Simon Clark, Mark McAleer, Pete Morris, Kevin Harrison, all of them race winners or champions, multi-champions in some cases as well. It's a difficult championship to come into and do well, but you have got the option of coming in the Classics or the Class 2s and working your way up through the order. So it's the reigning champion out front. Scott Adams being challenged by Vince Blacker. Vince, another debut driver for this season, acquitting himself very well indeed. Chris Dyer trying to close down on Simon Clark. Dyer, of course, champion from his Class 2 days rather than being a Class 1 champion, but nonetheless outright champion years ago, in car with Angus Archer. This is the battle for the Class 2 lead. Bill Cayley there at the moment. Paul Simpson back in 3rd. Matt Kyle Henney in the yellow and black box to the championship leader. Championship leader by a good margin is Matt Kyle Henney. Hopefully we may possibly see him in Class 1 next year. I'm sure The youngsters, of course, want to move on and upwards in motorsport. And Simpson having a look on the inside line of Angus Archer as they go through clearways. If he's got the run here and the momentum, might be able to get up into P2 and set about chasing Bill Cayley. Simon Clark still the overall race leader. Chris Dyer chasing hard. It's Mike Thompson in yellow. Hunting down Stephen Shaw. Lovely shot here. Blue sky, perfect weather for Porsches and racing on the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. Jesse Chamberlain in behind. It's a puff of smoke from Jesse's car there. Maybe Brands and Jesse Chamberlain means engine maladies. We hope not. We hope that he gets the car to the finish and gets a decent result out of this and some points. Meanwhile, Angus Archer chasing the lead in Class 2. On a big sideways moment there for Paul Simpson. Goes back across the track to Simpson. Hopefully we'll keep it running. Yeah, he does. Takes a moment to just get his thoughts together and rejoin it. A safe opportunity. You have to do that. You can't just get straight back into the action. You have to wait for the appropriate moment. That is very clearly set out in the MSA regulations. A little bit of traffic now. Darren Lebet is past. Welcome, Darren, to the championship. And Simon Clark has a moment at Graham Hill Bend, and Chris Dyer nips through into the lead. New leader, Chris Dyer, takes the lead of race 1 here at Brands Hatch. Another big Mr. Whippy on there as well. That is Sarah Thompson having a moment, just getting caught out on the left-right switch between Surtees and McLaren. In car with Peter Morris, Kevin Harrison making a challenge. It's all beginning to happen here. Stephen Shaw still ahead of Alistair Nelson. This is a good performance by Stephen Shaw in the 49 car. Just trying to work out whether Stephen is after his first podium of the season. I think he possibly might be. There is Peter Evans and Mike Thompson. Thompson in yellow and black, Evans in the car immediately in front. Now, of course, it gets complicated on a short track like the Indy circuit when the race leaders will happen across the classic Boxsters, which, you know, who have slower lap times, understandably, and they're having their own race, but the race leaders have to deal with that. They're in 33, our first racing look at Kevin Molyneux in Class 1. Great to see. Kevin Harrison in the white and green car chasing the Cayman of Simon Clark. Simon in second position, couple of cars ahead, making the move to the inside line here. Coming towards us is Chris Dyer in the Strasser livery. Miller Oil's car still there. Passes Peter Evans, so once again has a Class 3 car between himself and his chasers. Very difficult. The race leaders, of course, dealing with a little bit of traffic. We tend to expect that. This is Angus Archer coming up into Druids. Matt Kyle Henney up ahead of him. So Matt Kyle Henney now the class leader for Class 2. Pete Morris up ahead of Mark McAleer. Jake McAleer busy chasing as well. And behind Jake McAleer, it's Kevin Molyneux. So Kevin running well in his Class 1 debut. Plenty of traffic to have to deal with, such is the nature of the Brands Hatch Indy circuit. We ride in car with Pete Morris again. Pete, having qualified in third, finds himself in fourth place at the moment in the PMC sponsored Strasser car. Mark McAleer right in behind. Now there is Will Heslop. Heslop goes past Fay Noble Evans, chasing Richard Forber. Richard Forber leading Class 3. So those two as ever close. It's great to see those guys going wheel to wheel in this championship. So up towards us comes Jake McAleer. There is Kevin Molyneux. Kevin up ahead of James Cayley. So Kevin in 7th place, James Cayley 8th. Rich Ellis is next up. And here's that Class 3 battle again. Richard Forber and Will Heslop. It really is what you want to see. Two drivers battling it out for the championship, chasing the same tarmac effectively. And look how much traffic there is to have to deal with. There's Angus Archer. So Archer in second. Matt Kyle Henney had a good race so far. Goes to the outside. Picking off Class 3 car. Alistair Nelson coming through as well. A good wave, and that's what it's all about, isn't it? Gentlemanly wave from Alistair Nelson. Matt Kyle Henny passes some more cars. So what you'll see here is that it's not just the Class 1s that have to deal with a bit of traffic, it's the leading Class 2 runners as well. We've got a car going off. Apologies, didn't catch that. Might have been Toby Barlow. We've lost Jesse Chamberlain, Richard Baston. I mentioned Andy Muggeridge earlier on in the race. But heading up towards the closing stages of this one, there is Bill Cayley. Bill at the moment is third in class, lost a bit of ground from the lead that he had earlier on. And Simon Clark has closed in again on Chris Dyer. So maybe some of the latter traffic hasn't fallen well, or Simon Clark has had a little bit of a run. Certainly Mark McAleer getting ready to have a stab at Pete Morris there for fourth position. Race leaders getting very close now. It is very much about getting through traffic, plus working out where you can pass yourself, but these two Caymans very evenly matched indeed, and going either side of a slower car, and Simon Clark takes the inside line and goes through. Chris Dyer went to the outside line and has lost the lead. So a change of lead as they pass some of the traffic here. It does happen at Brands Indy, but that felt much better for Simon Clark. I guess you're going to prefer the inside run if it's clear, because it's the shorter route, as Angus Archer continues to chase Matt Kyle Henny here. Angus Archer is also for 10th position, so the leading Class 2 cars looking to get into the top 10 vigorously waved blue flags, plus the flashing blue light for those Class 3. And I've got to say, you know, it's when you've got a great big group of cars, it's difficult to position, and just we'll come back to that in a minute, because Angus Archer goes for the lead and gets the class lead going into Druis. Archer leads, passes Matt Kyle Henny. Matt will try and fight back. Great awareness from Archer there. Looks in his mirrors, sees that Kyle Henny is coming back at him on the inside down in towards Graham Hill Bend. But he was far enough ahead to nip across, grab the line and maintain the lead. Matt Kyle Henny still a healthy championship lead. That may well move Angus Archer up into, just looking at the points, possibly fourth position in the championship ahead of Carl Hazelton. Carl down in 7th in class at the moment. So Angus Archer making some good progress. There's Kevin Harrison giving chase to the race leaders. Chris Dyer goes through. Here comes Kevin with lights on round the outside of Peter Evans. Paul Seagrave, his next target. Paul having a Class 1 top 10 run. He's 10th in class, 14th overall at the moment. So plenty of the lap scorers to work out. Do we still have lap scorers? I think we do, you know, in various places. Richard Forber still leading class and pulled a little bit of a gap now over Will Heslop. So Richard Forber hasn't got the fastest lap in class. That at the moment is with Will Heslop. There's the race leader, Simon Clark. Simon nips past Sarah Thompson, has a bit of a gap, bit of breathing space now over the second place man, Chris Dyer, and starting to get away. Chris still with the fastest lap, which was from lap 2. Hasn't been able to improve on that any further in the course of this race. We just saw Carl Hazelton about to nip down on the inside. Now here's a group of cars having a good battle. We saw Kevin Harrison go through, and there's a gap between Kevin Harrison and Peter Morris, Mark McAleer, Jake McAleer. Kevin Molyneux, I think, has lost a little bit of ground on that group, possibly with the traffic run, but very much into the closing stages of this race. Kevin Harrison goes through. There is Chris Dyer. Look back for Kevin. Fair amount of space between second and third position here. And as I say, the amount of cars on track will have added to that. Matt Kyle Henny still running in second place. Angus Archer's pulled a bit of a gap on him. Matt Kyle Henny being taken wide by one of the Class 3 cars, I think that was. Pete Morris still being hounded by Mark McAleer. These two have given us some great racing over the years, and they're still battling hard. You look at the stats, there's very little to choose between these two great drivers, both former champions, and probably two of the best Porsche racers in the UK. Pete Morris through clearways, Mark McAleer very nearly all over the back of him, but they've got to read the traffic as well. Paul Seagrave in the mix with that as well. but it's still Simon Clark out front. Chris Dyer with the fastest lap. Chris Dyer in second behind Clark. Kevin Harrison is in third place. Peter Morris still defending fourth from Mark McAleer. There is Mark, who has a look to the outside, and Pete Morris on the inside. This is brave stuff. There's another car on the outside line they have to be respectful of. That's Paul Simpson in Class 2. Simpson just ahead of Paul Seagrave, so Paul is fourth in Class 2. 13th overall. Paul Seagrave is in 14th overall, 10th in class. As onto the final lap goes Simon Clark, who's got a decent enough lead now and is set to take another win in the 23 car. It took him 3 races to get a win under his belt this season, but has made a big habit of winning, as we watch John Alexander going across the line as well in the number 20, 11th in class John Alexander, and 18th overall. Richard Forber still ahead in the classic Boxsters. Will Heslop's closed up a bit in the closing stages, so Heslop getting a little bit of a speed on. I think that's Angus Archer chasing them in behind. Back to the scrap for fourth. Pete Morris still there ahead of Mark McAleer, but here is the Thomson Reuters car of race leader, championship leader Simon Clark. More traffic to deal with. Goes to the outside of the first car, will pop in the middle of those two. Sarah Thompson there as well, but it is Simon Clark that takes the win. Chris Dyer will finish second, Kevin Harrison third, Peter Morris still in fourth place in the Strasser car, up ahead of Mark McAleer. McAleer in fifth, Jake McAleer sixth from Kevin Molyneux, a good seventh position on his debut, and having a good look here and getting the lead. Will Heslop's got the lead in Class 3 on the last lap. The classic Boxster lead changes, and Richard Forber is fighting back, goes along the Cooper straight, kicks up a little bit of dirt. They're still at it, and it's the Pink Pig leading this one at the moment. He's coming into clearways, and Richard still giving chase. But what a move by Will Heslop to go through into the class lead. We're in car with Angus Archer following these two, who will go across the line. And it's Will Heslop that takes the class win, but gets a penalty overall. Simon Clark the winner, Chris Dyer second from Kevin Harrison and Pete Morris. Class 2 won by Angus Archer from Matt Kyle Henney and Bill Cayley. Paul Simpson fourth in class. And Class 3 actually won by Richard Forber, because Will Heslop had a penalty for track limits, sadly for him. Let's speak to the winners.
Simon, fantastic win there. What an absolutely close battle with you and Chris. Going down that back straight, 4 abreast of the other classes ahead of you, and you still managed to work your way through.
Yeah, it was a good move. It was obviously reliant on everyone else doing what you expect them to, but it played out well for me, so I was really pleased.
Front wheels are put line, so Simon got past me, but I thought if I can just stick with him and we'll both pull each other along, which we did, and we did quite a big gap to Mark McAleer behind. But then Simon spun on some oil and I got past him, and then he got me again later on.
Well, Kevin, that worked out well. Great start as predicted, and a busy race. You kept the pace there, but those front two, they got away a little bit.
They did, and I said before the race it's going to be the luck of the draw with back markers, and we caught quite a few back markers, but I was lucky anyway. I was really close to McAleer and he hit the oil first, and I just managed to get through and then kept the third place, so yeah, happy with that. That's good.
Well, at Silverstone I thought we did a really good achievement getting the podium there, and now we've got a win. How's that feel?
Amazing, absolutely fantastic. My first win in all racing I've done the last 4 or 5 years. Absolutely brilliant, thank you. Yeah, great.
How do we feel as we go to race 2?
Well, we've got to do it again. It was hard enough the first time. Yeah, we know we can do it. The car's not quite race winning pace. Toby obviously didn't finish, so we sort of inherited it slightly. But we seem to be able to run with Matt and Paul Simpson and the rest of the last 2 front runners sort of relatively consistently. So I'm hopefully quietly confident we can do it again.
Well, Bill, we've met various times this year and there's been misfortunes, but finally it's starting to come good. Podium were very well deserved.
Yeah, thank you. As you said, it's been I haven't had the best luck this season, so it's nice to finally get on the podium. So it's absolutely balling. It's definitely looking forward to getting out of that car after the 25 minutes.
And now we've got the sort of monkey off your back with the podium there. That should make it mentally a little bit easier, hopefully.
Hopefully, I've probably put more pressure on myself now though, so I'm glad I got it. So hopefully I'll get back up on there.
Well done.
Brilliant, thank you.
Pete, race 1 done and dusted, a superb podium finish there. How's that feel?
Yeah, absolutely amazing. I've been working all year trying to improve my times and get better, and yeah, it's been a long time coming, but the team have been brilliant and supported me. Brilliant trainer with Nick Arnold, and also Brian Saunders has been a great help, and even recently we've had the Carrera Cup champion Josh Webster.
Racing career-wise, what have you done before?
Oh, absolutely nothing. So my first track day was actually only 2 years ago, so it's been a huge learning curve, but I've absolutely loved it.
Race 1 done and dusted in front of one of the biggest crowds we've had this season. How did that feel?
Fantastic, yeah, the crowd have been amazing. You see them all around the track, and it really helps to lift your game. It's been good.
What was your mindset like when you had that 30-second board ready to go?
I think you're just so excited. You just can't wait to get going, and it's just such an amazing opportunity. I'd encourage anyone that has ever thought about doing motorsports to really give it a go. Really good.
Darren, first time out in race 1, first time racing ever, I believe.
That is correct.
How did it feel?
It was amazing, absolutely amazing. During the practice this morning, I was first lap terrified, but a couple of laps in, got into it and was fine. I mean, I got into this because I collect cars, but aren't really able to drive them to their full potential on the road. Porsche is my favourite brand by a million miles. I get the Porsche Club magazine, and I saw them advertising the fact that I could get involved in the racing, and I didn't realise that was even possible. As soon as I saw that was it. We got involved. Next year we're going to run 2 cars.
Caught up with your colleague Ed Silverstone there, and he did pretty well. So full season next year?
Absolutely, and can't wait. I mean, we're treating the end of this season, because we caught the last 3 races. We're treating it as a little bit of a practice, really. We know that we'll be racing each other because we're fairly similar in ability at this stage, but we're hoping to move up the grid.
So last time out we were at Simpson GP, an iconic circuit. I mean, how was that for you?
That was brilliant. That was like bucket list type of stuff to go on to Silverstone GP circuit. I've never done it before. Managed to get 2 fourths in it, which I thought personally was quite good, as I've never been around it. It's a really fast circuit, and it's just a lot of getting used to and keeping the car balanced as you sort of swooping through the corners. It was really good, really fun.
What have you learnt and progressed as a driver this season?
I think I've learned a bit more control of the car, to take it a little bit faster around the corners and control it more rather than going around it a bit slower and then trying to get as much power on as I could, so it sort of keeps it more progressive than anything else. But I think I'm still learning now. I don't know everything. I'm not the fastest one out there, so still plenty more to learn. It's just good when you're in sort of practice sessions and you can get behind another car and follow his line, someone that's a bit more experienced, and pick up a few pointers, especially on like the tracks that you're racing on the day.
Sarah, you and I had a chat at Snetterton, and since then, what a season it's been for you. A lot of different experiences.
Yes, definitely. A lot, from really bad days to really good days, so it's been good. So what I've learned is really just about learning the tracks, learning lines, and I've got a great coach, Kat Impey, of course, from Floss Driving, so she's a great help with learning all those like technical stuff for doing it and being more competitive.
Is it as you imagined it to be?
I would say a little bit, a lot more, I don't know, friendly, and just it's not as intense as I thought it would be. That's quite nice, where it is intense, but there is some break to it, and it's just really fun.
Simon Clark starting on pole position, Mark McAleer for company this time, Peter Morris and Jake McAleer on row 2, then James Cayley and Chris Dyer. Class 2 pole was due to be Toby Barlow, but he retired from the last race, not taking part here, so Matt Kyle-Henny, the top Class 2 runner, Angus Archer next from Andy Muggeridge, Paul Simpson and Bill Cayley. Classic Boxsters Class 3, Richard Forber and Will Heslop renew battle ahead of Alistair Nelson and Peter Evans. We have also sadly lost Richard Baston and Jesse Chamberlain from the race after their issues in race 1 as well. Lights out here at Brands Hatch for the second time. McAleer gets away well from the outside, but Simon Clark is equal to him and has got the inside run into Paddock Hill Bend. Jake McAleer third. Pete Morris is looking up the inside to try and challenge. Then it is James Cayley, Kevin Harrison next up, so a slightly Altered round grid, but Simon Clark gets the jump on them and leads here on the Brands Hatch Indy Circuit for the second time. Kevin Molyneux, unusual to see him, of course, in Strasser livery, but he takes the outside at Druids, looking to improve on his result in race 1. A very good, in my opinion, debut in Class 1. It's a big difference moving from Class 2, the Boxster, up into his 996, but wonderful to see. Bill Cayley's 4th in Class 2. Immediately behind you can see Julian Morris, and up ahead Angus Archer 3rd place. Bill's going to have a look down the inside line and, well, can't quite do it at the moment. So Julian Morris is in 5th position in Class 2. Missed him at Silverstone last time out. Wonderful to have him back. Everybody will now just settle into the first few laps. There is Will Heslop, the pink pig, just trying to work out where Richard Forber is in relation to Will. He'll be a little bit gutted about that time penalty for track limits. It's so strictly observed here at Brands Hatch, with the track sensors and cameras picking up. It's not something as a driver you can argue, unless you're constantly maybe forced over the sensors with the picture taken. But Will Heslop, if that costs him in the championship at the end of the season, he'll be a little bit cross about that for sure. Angus Archer running well, great class win for him. I didn't realise that he hadn't won in the other BRSCC formula that he raced in. I would have had to have gone away and dug out the records, but he was always there or thereabouts, and a quick driver as we watch Julian Morris still there. This is for 5th place in Class 2. Matt Carl-Henny leads it, Paul Simpson second. Then the Class 1 car of Paul Seagrave getting in amongst them again. So there is Will Heslop. Richard Forber is actually a car behind, or 2 cars behind. He's got Carl Hazelton, the Class 2 car, in between himself and the class leader at the moment. And there is Mike Thompson busy chasing Stephen Shaw. Chris Dyer is down behind Kevin Molyneux at the moment. So Chris, who was on pole position for race number 1, made the point, didn't he, at the start of the programme, that it was topsy-turvy. You could get one good clear lap in and then find a bit of traffic, because it's so very busy out there. 35 cars out there for qualifying, and when you've got a circuit of 1.2 miles, that might not sound like a lot, but when they're spread out all trying to do full tilt and cars are running at different speeds in the different classes, it can be a problem. And it was Simon Clark probably the most consistent over qualifying, then it's Mark McAleer, and then Chris Dyer with his pole. But of course it's not about qualifying at the end of the day, it's about where you finish in the race that counts. And Chris Dyer chasing Class 1 debut man Kevin Molyneux, in car briefly with James Cayley. Jake McAleer trying to hunt down Peter Morris at the moment. The position's reversed, Morris and Mark McAleer in this race. There is Richard Ellis. Rich's had a consistent season so far, just the one retirement, which was here on the GP circuit, race 2 at Brands Hatch. Chris Dyer looking like he might go high and wide, but I think thought better of it in the end. And Kevin Molyneux, this is all learning for him, but good performance nonetheless. Alistair Nelson trying to get back on the podium. Peter Evans immediately in front at the moment. Peter having done a grand job of getting onto the podium in race number 1, and about to make a move here. Looks to the outside, and that leaves the door open for Alistair Nelson to have a look down the inside line. The door is closed by the time he gets to paddock, so it's the run up the hill. Evans comes across. That's not in defence, I don't think, too much. There is Evans, got the 55, the Welshman Scott Adams in the Porsche Centre Cardiff car, which has been quite prolific in the championship over the years. Since the original Resta Racing Championship, we used to have some standalone races for the newcomers, the Porsche preparation specialists and dealers who were running those cars exclusively a couple of seasons ago. Had some guest runs with us with the main championship runners, and now fully encompassed in the championship, and a marvellous decision because we have such superb grids. If it gets much bigger, I suspect that the club may well split them out again at some point, and that can only be a good thing. But in the meantime, we've got the absolute joy of watching these full grids. Leaders starting to get into traffic. Now remember, we've got 3 different classes of car racing, so the leaders will inevitably get some traffic. It's a big order. There is our new driver there, Darren Lebet, that Barry spoke to in the break between the two races. And I think, to be a newcomer in this, there's so much to remember. That's why you have the ARDS course, racing drivers training and course to sign you off as competent. Because imagine coming to Brands Hatch, you're in a Class 3 car, so you're learning, you're not at your best times, and you're racing against the 997s, the Caymans and the 996s who are going to lap you. So you know you're not going to be battling with them, but you've got to know where to place the car to be out of harm's way. Now normally you can move over to the inside or the outside, but what do you do on the S's, the end of Cooper Straight that you've got here, where you've got the left and the right? What do you do? So these drivers have got so much to learn, so I take my hat off to them coming into this racing, and as I say, behaving themselves superbly. There is Pete Morris. So Pete's still second in the championship. Simon Clark beginning to build a little bit of a gap as we head into the last round, and that's going to be good for him. Pete Morris has gone through the season so far. He won't like me for saying this, but no DNF so far. And the curse of the commentator, from me specifically this year in other championships, has not been a good thing. Angus Archer challenging Paul Simpson now. So Simpson in the 88 car had his first class win here at Brands Hatch. Remember, he's the reigning champion in Class 3. And won here earlier on in the season in race 2, and quite a character, a little bit camera shy, but did a good chat with us as Bill Cayley continues. Here is Matt Kyle Henney, championship leader, good solid points in race 1, and I think heading for another good score here. Peter Evans still ahead of Alistair Nelson, with Scott Adams in behind. Mike Thompson about to be passed as well. Mike in the black and yellow car keeps it on the outside, not too far over, but smart enough for the faster cars to come through. Will Heslop, the race leader in the Pink Pig, busy at the moment chasing Steve Morrison. Richard Forber, second in class, is right behind. And then the race leaders, Simon Clark, followed by Mark McAleer. It could all be about picking the right line in the traffic. Look at this, so busy coming up towards Druids that we've got now. And contact, the 22 car on Kevin Harrison, Vince Blacker involved as well. Peter Evans, Vince Blacker, and it was Kevin Harrison on the inside. And the key point there is that it was a crowded track and cars of different performance levels all coming together. It's going to be inevitable with the amount of cars that we've got out there. Blue flags being shown and blue lights flashing, of course, but it is still very, very crowded indeed. Of course, the leaders want to go through. The other guy, a bit of contact, Stephen Shaw, rubbing on the back of Darren Lebet's car. This is what the race newcomers have to learn to deal with, where to place the car. As I said, it's so difficult for drivers, particularly on the S's. If you're going up through Surtees, the left-hander, and then the right-hander into McLaren, if you're a newcomer in a slower car, where do you place the car? If you've got a 997 or a Cayman coming up very quickly on you, what do you do? That's what these drivers have to consider and learn to do. So the Class 3's running. Oh, Steve Morrison going off and into the gravel. Keep going, Steve. Oh, it's beached it in the gravel. That will be a safety car for sure. Steve Morrison out of the race. The Class 3 leaders were going past him and having their battle. There is Will Heslop in the Pink Pig ahead of Richard Forber. We're going to see a winner piece for those guys. That would certainly be fitting of the battle that they have had in the championship. Mark McAleer goes up, squirrely moment there for Paul Simpson, still ahead of Angus Archer. Simpson second in Class 2. Matt Kyle Henney still the class leader. Surprised we haven't seen the safety car as of yet. Here is Mike Thompson, launches himself, as the late great Brian Jones, Brands Hatch commentator, would have said, high, wide and handsome into Paddock Hill Bend, and gets the move done on Stephen Shaw. Absolutely superb. We've got good racing going on ahead of it. Here comes Matt Kyle Henney closing in on them as well. Great that those cars got clear of Druids, because the cars that had the clatter at Druids I think may have cleared the area. Change for the lead, is this in Class 3? It is. And Will Heslop dropping back. Richard Forber's got the lead now of class. Jake McAleer separates the pair of them, puts a lap on them, and the safety car is now scrambled. Now, if it looks like there was a delay, let me just explain the thinking from the officials' point of view. Angus Archer's got his hand out of the window to indicate that he's slowing down. You might have thought, yeah, there was a couple of laps, that car's been there. What the officials will do is take advice from the post and check that the car can't be moved before they do actually get the safety car out. Ready to resume racing here at Brands Hatch. It was close for the lead when the safety car came out. It is close still, and Mark McAleer gets that little bit closer though thanks to the safety car, and a good restart by the pair of them, and they will continue to play cat and mouse. And it's Clark there. McAleer shoves his nose on the inside, not close enough to do anything about it. Jake McAleer running there third in the Hartec Blue Cayman. Now we've got Will Heslop back in front. James Cayley is behind him, then Richard Forber. So you've got the pink Class 3 car, Class 1 machine going down on the inside, and then the second place Class 3 man Richard Forber trying to close in again, and there's contact. I think Forber made contact with the back end of the car, nearly gets collected. Now, what has happened there? It did look like contact. It certainly wouldn't have been intentional, was it, that the Pink Pig was slowing? We don't know. We'll talk to the drivers after the race, and I've no doubt if there was any ill feeling there, that will go to the clerk of the course. Could just be a racing incident, but the fact is the championship leader, he's disgusted. He's really fed up, rightly so. Will Heslop, the passion of a racing driver, you have to show that if you've just lost potentially the championship, certainly the championship lead. Back with the race leaders though, so drama here on the Indy circuit, and it is Simon Clark still there. Waved yellows for Will Heslop's car, and it's Simon Clark leading. Mark McAleer, Jake McAleer third. Fourth position is Podium Pete Morris, the PMC Strasser car there in the number 2 in fourth place. Great wide shot. Really does sort of emphasise Alistair Nelson unhappy. That's because of the yellows. Alistair's saying, why are you passing me? There are yellow flags. There's a car on the infield. Those drivers will be spoken to for sure. The other drivers will say, hang on, we're in class 2s or whatever and quicker. But the point is that there is a driver and a car clearly just off. If somebody goes straight on, they're going to hit that car. Possibly the marshals who want to deal with that as well. And that is why Alistair Nelson was gesticulating, in my opinion, quite rightly. Peter Evans goes through. There is Angus Archer, the number 20, the lime green car of John Alexander, and a little bit more rubbing as we go up towards Druids. And it's Carl Hazelton involved in that, manages to get back on track. It is inevitable with this amount of cars of differing performance levels. This is not the easiest of rounds on the Brands Indy circuit, and they've had a long day. You can very clearly see the yellows, the flashing lights, the yellow flags still there. Simon Clark ahead of Mark McAleer. With the yellows there, effectively, there's Andy Muggeridge pulling off. I think Andy was involved with Carl Hazelton. Here comes Angus Archer. This is for the lead. Looking at the outside at Paddock Hill Bend. Archer side by side with Matt Kyle Henny, who's not taking him wide. He's giving him room. He has to run a little bit wider here. And has Angus Archer got the lead? He has. Archer into the lead of Class 2. Matt Kyle Henny down to second. We'll still be thinking about championship points for sure. But Angus Archer comes through and grabs the lead again. Looks in his mirrors. Great inset shot there. Good awareness. Wants to check that he's not in the way as the race leaders go on to the last lap, and Mark McAleer's having a go at the outside at Paddock as well. This is not game over. Mark McAleer never ever gives up, and Simon Clark has still got the lead in the Cayman. Mark McAleer second, his son Jake in third place. Fourth position is James Cayley. I beg your pardon, it's James Cayley fourth, not Peter Morris. And Peter in fifth, but here we come onto the Cooper Straight for the last time. And it looks like it could be a double for Simon Clark. Mark McAleer will chase him all the way to the flag and had a very good go as they went into paddock. Yellow flags here. So it's going to be all about maybe a run down the main straight for the 997. Angus Archer leads a closing laps pass on Matt Kyle Henny to take the lead in Class 2. Bill Cayley is running in third place, so good day for the Cayleys. Paul Simpson running 4th in Class 2, and Richard Forber leading Class 3. It is Simon Clark that has taken the win from Mark McAleer. Jake McAleer in 2nd. Here is Angus Archer, 10th position overall, winning Class 2 from Matt Kyle Henny. Bill Cayley in 3rd. Angus is going to take a double as well, so it's a double for Simon Clark. Make mine a double too, says Angus Archer. May very well do in the Kentagon afterwards. Across the line, it is Richard Forber who takes the win in Class 3, but Simon Clark making it a double here of overall victories. Clark, Mark McAleer, Jake McAleer, your top 3. James Cayley next up from Pete Morris and Chris Dyer. Class 2 won by Angus Archer from Matt Kyle Henny, Bill Cayley and Paul Simpson. Richard Forber, double winner in Class 3 from Alistair Nelson this time, with Scott Adams on the podium in 3rd place. Let's join Barry with the winners.
Simon, 2 out of 2, great weekend for you.
Yeah, I couldn't have wished for more really, not with the amount of sponsors and clients we've got here, so no, it was great. I think the safety car actually helped because it just slowed the heat down a bit, you know, it just cooled the car and it just meant it was a little bit more stable for the second half of the race. But yeah, it's hot out there today, that's for sure.
So yeah, that was good, I enjoyed that. I think we were probably that little bit quicker than Simon at the end. If we'd been a little bit longer perhaps, but there was so little in it. I think it would have to have been a big mistake from him for me to get past. So, but yeah, very enjoyable.
Happy to both get on the podium, especially after how the day started and things. So yeah, pleased with that.
Simon and Mark seemed to get away quite a gap, but then you seem to be gaining lap by lap before the safety car came in.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really see them. It was as soon as we got in the big gaggle of lap cars that I lost them, and obviously I was behind Pete for a while. Had a good battle with him, and I've been really struggling with cramp all day, so I was having to try some weird things in the car, so I'm just happy to have made the line, especially on a podium.
Now, every time I've seen you on a podium, you've said, well, it's down to others having bad luck. This is getting more than just luck. First place, 2 firsts in class, so got to be pleased with that.
Of course I'm. That's a dream weekend. What more can you want? Yeah, fantastic. It's great. All my friends and family are here. It's all the loads of customers, loads of supporters, and to do 2 wins in the same day. Yeah, thanks to everyone who's helped me and got the car here. It's fantastic.
It's something that I'll always remember. Festival of Porsche and winning both races. All credit to Porsche, if I'm honest with you, because the car has done over 100,000 miles. It's had a rear main seal that's been changed, and the IMS has been checked. And apart from that, the engine is bulletproof. So we're Team Forber. So it's a family run. Me and my dad, we built the car from scratch, competing against Porsche centres and being able to compete with them. It's brilliant, and so cheers, Dad. Thanks very much.
A podium, so you're second this season, I think. So how does that feel?
Yeah, really good. Really good. Put it on a box and reward all the team for their hard work. And unexpected, but we did well to ride through.
And Class 3 is coming to its own now as well. It's getting pretty busy, pretty competitive.
Yeah, it is competitive. Some of the lads at the front are really good drivers, in fairness to them. It's just nice to be up there battling, have some nice battles and keep it clean.
Simon Clark extends the championship lead, but Mark McAleer goes up into 2nd ahead of Pete Morris. Jake McAleer still 4th. Chris Dyer now 5th ahead of James Cayley. In Class 2, it's Matt Kyle Henny ahead of Paul Simpson. Angus Archer now, though, up into 3rd ahead of Carl Hazelton. Andy Mugridge 5th ahead of Toby Barlow. And in the Class 3s, the new leader Richard Forber by a single point ahead of Will Heslop, with Alistair Nelson still in 3rd. The trophy presentation's attended by the legendary Grand Prix winner Jochen Mass. How cool is that? Hopefully not as cool as our final round, which will take place at Snetterton in a few weeks' time. Please join us then.